37. And we'll rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Smith? Here.
Dale has an excused absence.
Patterson? Here. Henderson here. Conan?
What's an excused absence? How do you get an excused absence?
You can't get
one. Here.
Shoemaker?
Here.
Sledge?
Here.
Galecki?
Yes, here. Okay. We do need to have a little bit of lightheartedness at the meeting, so thanks. But you still can't get one. Okay, so has everybody looked at the minutes from our last meeting? Oh, I'm sorry. Approval of agenda. Anything anybody wants to add to the agenda? If hearing nothing, a motion to approve the agenda is presented.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Okay. So now minutes from April 7th. So is there any questions, any changes? Hearing none, a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
So also. I'll second. Second.
Okay. Switch. Mr. Sledge first, Mr. Conan second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So moved. Okay, site plan for Armada General Store. Well, Mrs. Bova, you want to give us a little synopsis of what you intend to do?
And then move around the corner. The front part of the building, not the repair shop in the way back. Both the showroom, I guess you would call it, because it has all windows in the front. And the grocery all through here. I had the initial grocery inspection. He wants me to clean the floor and paint it, because obviously being a mechanic shop before, it has a floor issue. And he wants weather stripping on the door to make sure that no rodents can get in there. That's what the grocery department wants from the state of Michigan. I was planning on doing those things anyway, so he didn't tell me to do anything I wasn't going to do anyhow. It is not a transferable grocery license, it will be a new grocery license because it's licensed at the location as well as to the company. My grocery license is no longer valid there because it's my grocery license, but it's not transferable either. But the new building is also licensable. He had no issue with it.
Now, you said that was, who did this inspection? It wasn't the health department?
It's the Michigan Department of Agriculture and Rural Development.
Okay,
They're the ones who license groceries.
okay, but you
The
said.
health department is for food service,
Oh,
and that's
okay.
not the same
Oh,
thing.
okay, all right.
If I was gonna be a restaurant, then I'd have to have warewashing sinks and all that other stuff.
Where is this building?
Where Burns Automotive was,
Okay, you do realize that you were in C1, in a C1
Yes.
district before, and now you're in a C2.
mhm,
So it's a totally different ball game as to what's needed. So parking is a big issue. So I've looked at your drawings and
March terms.
I'm totally confused at which drawing we're supposed to be using for your parking.
Okay,
So one says,
I only have 2 copies, so I don't have the 3rd copy.
I don't, third copy.
So from here, you can see there's a walkway going down the side of the building, and this isn't a proper drawing either. But there's a walkway going down the side of the building, so whatever parking lot is behind can service the front half of the building as well. People just have to walk down the walkway on the side. At this point, there's nothing in the back of the building, but I believe I heard from somebody who also has plans on part of the back of the building. But they will have to come to you individually. I don't even know who they are.
Okay. So again, so part of the requirements that for the approval isn't just the building and the drawing of the building, it's the layout of your parking lot.
Okay?
So, and in the requirements for, as an automotive repair facility is what that was before.
Mhm.
We gave them some latitude with the parking because some of their parking requirements are long-term customer parking where it's not a customer coming in that day and leaving, you know, within a short amount of time. It's a drop-off. So all the parking area in the back of that building is all gravel.
It's also adjacent to and connecting with a village lot.
Understood, but again, this is C2, and C2 has to provide its own parking irregardless of on-street or village lot parking. So
I would park in gravel parking lots.
what's that?
I would park in the gravel parking lot.
Well, I'm sorry, but that may be the case, but our ordinance says that a lot should be asphalt or concrete. Planning Commission does have the latitude to allow gravel. You're gonna have a customer base that's in and out on a constant basis, unlike Burns Automotive that had long-term parking and a very limited amount of people coming in to and from. So that being said, the walkway that you have, or that's with that building, is only 4 feet wide. The requirement is 5 foot wide, and that is for, I'm gonna use a wrong term, but what's the proper term
Handicap.
for handicapped? It's not handicapped.
Wheelchair accessible?
Okay, something
There are
that
2 parking spaces in the front of the building, and one of them has a handicap painted on the driveway for handicap parking. So that one's
Okay.
already in front.
Okay, so we can use that, but you still, that walkway needs to be for not just a limited usage, but that's your main usage to your parking lot. So if you use the back of the building, you would have less problems than the front of the building. Because now you would have an access to that. And that being said, so during the summer or ADA, thank you. That walkway needs to be able to be shoveled during the winter. And you can't, it's very hard to shovel gravel.
That's true.
So, and I went and looked at the site. It was fine for the automotive repair, but for what you're wanting to do, it's gonna take quite a bit. And there's no lighting. And if you're gonna be open, let's see here, what's your hours?
9 in the morning to 6 or 7 in the evening
Okay, so we all know that it's dark during the winter.
in the winter.
You need lighting, there is no lighting.
Emergency
gonna be-
electrician lighting's not an issue for me.
It's, well, but we're talking
That's true.
parking lot lighting, not lighting in the building. So, those are just the things I've seen. And now, and we haven't got to the building. But the parking lot, and then,
He said he was planning on doing something to the parking lot. He
Well,
did not,
it would have to be done prior to your
for instance,
approval.
it needed to be graded for one thing, he knew that it needed that.
Hmm,
He didn't say he was planning on paving it, he said he definitely knew it needed to be graded.
Well, Mark's not planning on paving it, that's,
yeah.
that'd be long.
He's not, and then also, you need a very good drawing of what your parking is gonna be and where you're gonna utilize the parking. Because you're only using part of this facility, so anything that you utilize, the other section can't. So,
So I have to assign the parking
but
spaces on there.
well, you don't have to do that. It would be in the planning commission approval. So I don't know how many, that's why I asked, there's two drawings, they show different parking layouts. One is just, I have no clue what that is because they've got parking where there's,
So this.
huh?
This is the office here.
Oh, sure, yeah, well, and that's what I kind of thought. But the,
Yeah, that's part-
this one drawing, it shows
Yes.
cars with no maneuvering room. So they're butted right up together. And that's kind of how
Yeah, that's
Burns
fine.
was allowed to do things in his long-term parking area.
Yeah, they could stack. Because matter of fact, that whole area over here was because it was built out.
That was his stacking area.
Yeah.
But right now, that's overgrown with weeds and, again, for a,
Well, how many parking spots are you gonna need?
according to the requirement, it's 7 parking places.
Plus the handicap accessible.
Correct.
Is that just customer parking or does that include employee?
There's no stipulation between customer and employees, it goes just by square footage, and it's 3.25 per 1,000 square feet on a minimum, and 3.75 per square feet on a maximum. So 7, according to the calculation on the application, it's a 2,000 square feet.
My experience in Armada is that 90% of my customers walk in the door, they don't drive.
You have to go by the book.
That is a little convenient. It's close though back there.
How many parking places do you think are back there, Ben?
I don't know. I mean,
The ones highlighted here look like the right one, the ones we started with.
I'm not even sure what the proper layout of the parking lots would be, because you've got one area that's 47 foot by 40 foot. The parking place is 9 foot by 20, as indicated on this one drawing right here. But you also need a minimum of 12 foot maneuvering for one parking place, 24 foot for back-to-back parking. So there's not any room, there's just barely, there's plenty of room to have one parking area, but that would only give them five parking places in that back area. There used to be a screening thing around the dumpster, that's totally gone. That would need to be reconstructed. So according to this, 5, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, but 13 parking places in a rear. And you're not supposed to be able to use any area in front of an overhead door for required parking. But since you're not gonna be running the garage, you're gonna be running a store, even if you kind of like open that door during the summer. I personally wouldn't have an objection to using that as required parking.
Which is right, but I think that's the only one that they would do, but I don't think that would. And those two are questionable then because of the overhead door next to it?
Well,
But it's not in front of the overhead.
yeah,
Right.
there's two, they put in a second overhead door, so there's two overhead doors in the front now. They're side by side. So what are we gonna do about loading and unloading? How are you gonna, and know that you said that you have certain people that are coming to deliver goods? How would you,
You generally come right through the door.
well, yeah, but where would they park?
I guess it would depend on who it was. I've never even seen the truck for the frozen food company. They usually just park on Fulton Street, come around to the door and come in with cases of product. I've never even seen the truck, so I don't know what it looks like.
Well, I thought in your previous store that you always had deliveries kind of.
I have a back door at the old store. Dairy Fresh come once a week and usually parked in the alley and brought it in the back door. The balloon company comes through the front door. A lot of things come from FedEx or UPS, they come through the front door. Small boxes usually. Dairy Fresh is the big one, and IDI, which is the beverage company, who always has a little hand cart. He's got cases of pop on, but he comes to the front door, the back door, he's not particular. And I'm sure he delivers to a lot of the party stores and whatnot out here as well. Not a huge truck.
So they can park in angled parking?
I would think, yeah. And when I get things from International or United, I usually pick them up.
That's small.
No, and I was thinking Ace even had a hard time with the alley parking even. And then there were people complaining too about blocking the alley for a long time.
Sure.
And sometimes they unload in front. Don't they, Paul? You used to unload the Ace truck, don't they do it in front
Sometimes
sometimes?
in the winter time, they would unload in front, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but most times it's in the alley behind.
But in this case, how do you, yeah, fitting back there, that was just always,
Yeah.
that was a tough time to get back there.
Again,
They've done
C1
it for
is a
years.
totally different ballgame than
Yeah.
C2.
It's a good
Mhm.
Well,
So anything under 2,000, the only reason I brought this up was under 2,000 square feet, you're not required to have a loading unloading zone. Over 2,000 square feet, you need a loading unloading zone, which is 10 foot by 50 foot. So that would take a lot of your parking away. Because in here, you kind of said something about maybe expanding. So somebody went through that in there.
The future, when he showed me the building, he said, well, if it takes off as a grocery in Armada, there's room for expansion. But the future of that ever happening waits to see what's happening at Cordy's. Armada needs groceries, period.
Yes, we do.
I've had them for sale for several months. I even have federal approval for food stamps. And that is my license based on my inventory, not the facility license based on the building.
That's what I was wondering too.
2,093
No, I mean, of the whole building?
of this section, this section.
So it's just over 2,000 square feet.
This section, you said this section and this section?
The two that are in red.
But the one's the bit, isn't that the one's the office building? That's the bit, that's the,
This is the showroom as you put it. And
Yeah.
the
That's what I've been
groceries
calling
are
The front one was Stella's glass place.
Yeah.
Where Burns.
that would be part of the
showroom.
grocery store too?
Yeah.
Oh,
And then,
okay.
so, and then the section behind where Paul had his dyno machine.
Yeah.
Like my milk does not get delivered. I pick up the milk from the dairy. They said the dairy was at capacity for delivery and didn't have room for more customers. But I could still buy it wholesale if I picked it up myself. So I picked that up. And Aunt Millie's is in and out of town multiple times a week. And that's gonna be my new bread company because I didn't like
And
Sabrina's.
Millie's is a semi-truck. They wouldn't be able to park out front. They'd have to be in the back. That's, and Millie's is
That
a
was
big
one of
truck.
those big van kind of trucks, not quite semi.
But it's still nothing that could park out front because then you'd be parking in the street to do that.
Okay.
So again, C1, those buildings were built and you can't really do parking with those buildings. They're over 100 years old. In the C2, you are required to have your own parking. So if they're, even though you did one thing over here, you can't do it over here.
So basically, there's no suitable building in this town,
There's-
except Cordy's, which is for sale for an affordable price.
What does everybody think about the paving?
Well, we relinquished the last time too,
Well,
to get the crushed.
What was that?
When these guys first came to town, that was the same thing. They had it all clean because it was just a mess, you know, between washout and a couple of the storm sewers, get the huge hole depressions in front of it. And then two, we also thought because of cars, the amount of car traffic coming, you're gonna be kicking up a lot of stuff and stuff too, so. But Mark just kept coming after, the negative to him.
well, our ordinance reads that it's supposed to be concrete or asphalt. So we have the latitude to allow gravel. So gravel is not what's required.
But we have that latitude.
We have the latitude, but do you want to have, it's very hard, I have some gravel. And my father-in-law's driveway is gravel. And when you drive through snow and gravel, it's pretty tough. So, and you're talking about a parking lot where, I don't know what the average grocery store visit time lapse would be. And I can't imagine it's anywhere, it's gotta be somewhere between 10 minutes and a half hour, 20 minutes.
And a small store like out here,
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna just go in and come right back out again. And
Yeah.
hopefully you have customers all day long doing the same thing.
Well, if all requirements are met, with the exception of the paid parking, and we had that latitude, I think I'd go with it. I wouldn't see a reason not to have it, especially when, you know, it's not even in the front of the building, it's in the back of the building.
The latitude really was for just like Larry's Automotive. Okay, here's a prime example. Larry's Automotive, new building where the high traffic area is all paved.
Right.
Where the back area is, where his stacking is, that's gravel. So that's what the latitude's for. It's really not to allow gravel in a main parking lot. It's because our ordinance before, everything had to be paved. So it's not for main parking lots, which this would be.
And we went through that also with that business over at the end of
Teats.
Tate Street.
Mhm.
We allowed them to have the gravel because it was just a place for trucks to pull in and turn around, and
And
it
their
wasn't
main,
like you had lots of customers coming in and stuff like that.
and their main lot is asphalt. So we do have the latitude, but the latitude really is for low usage or not customer usage. So then even if we considered the gravel in the parking lot, what about the walkway? How do you maintain that walkway? And the walkway was built for an automotive shop with limited use of that walkway. Now we're talking about a walkway that is the main usage and is required to be 5 foot wide, and that's only 4 foot from the building to the fence.
I mean, cement sidewalks are dangerous enough to walk on in the wintertime. You get gravel over there and it's uneven, and you try to walk on it to get any ice on it. I would think there'd be some liability problems there.
And you can't clean it.
No. We have our driveway plowed, and that's gravel, and I spend probably 3 hours every spring raking rocks from the lawn back onto the driveway.
Where's the walkway gonna be?
It already did exist.
In the back of the building?
No,
It's
the
on the
the
side.
parking lot,
On
the
the
parking
side.
lot is in the back of the building.
Right.
The entrance is gonna be in the front of the building. So how do you connect the two? The walkway exists,
On
and
the
it's
south
on the
side.
south side of the building. And there's a fence there.
They wouldn't walk in through the building just off of Fulton?
Sure, but
But
how
the
do you
I
get
mean, that's
there?
right off the sidewalk.
But
What
the parking
sidewalk?
in the back.
How do you get to that
If
sidewalk?
you park here, you
Oh,
have to walk all the way around.
oh, I see what you're saying.
So the only other option is to walk all the way out through the alley and put people down through that alley, which is not really planning commission, not, that wouldn't go under the guise of health, safety, and welfare.
Went
No,
through
you
the
need to
one
do it
back doors and
The repair.
try and work out a way to get through the building.
You could do that.
And use the service door in the back, yeah.
Yeah, you could have a service door and a separate, but it would have to be a separate walkway, and it would have to be walled off, because we did this once before with another building. I think it was the Ezo building, and they had to, it was that building also, and they actually had to create a hallway, a enclosed hallway.
I could see that happening.
So that just gets away from the exterior walkway.
again.
So you're going in right through the main, your showroom now, right?
Yeah, you'd have to have a, like you say, you'd have to have an enclosed hallway back there that would run from the service
You have to
door
Walk around
Yep.
here and come
and
back in.
form an L, come up by the bathroom there to
Well,
Yeah,
this
yeah,
here.
However it came, wherever you did it, it would have to be an enclosed walkway. It'd have to be approved by the building inspector. I do remember, I'm almost positive it has to have a separate door from the other building. You might be able to join something off of that walkway and have another door, but that'd be something for the building department, but that would be one way to do it. And as far as saying where it would have to go, it would be up to the building owner and the building inspector. So what does everybody think about having a parking diagram that actually we can go by?
Yes.
Well, if you're gonna
It's
go
close.
through the trouble of giving, you're right, this parking diagram doesn't tell you. But if you're gonna go through all that trouble and say, well, yeah, but you gotta have it paved anyhow,
Understood, that's why we're doing a discussion.
you know.
Ordinance required, my interpretation of this ordinance would be that this parking lot would have to be paved and be lit. So it's up to the other members to agree or disagree.
It's municipal lot, blacktop or concrete?
Excuse me?
It's a municipal lot, blacktop
It's
or
asphalt.
concrete? Asphalt?
And I think the lights come off of adjacent buildings.
On the
There's no
buildings.
freestanding pole, is there?
I'm not sure.
There's one pole on the back corner, over
Is
there.
there a pole?
There's one here by the, as you go in toward the alleyway, I think there's a
Is there one?
pole over there. On the back of the, whatever, like right here.
Ezos, whatever.
It's right before you go, I think there's a pole. I don't know if there's a light on it or that's just got a transfer.
I think that's a transformer.
It may just be a transfer, yeah. But having no pole, that makes the lighting, because I was thinking how what you're gonna do back over here is not gonna be fun.
No.
Over here, you can get lights on the building.
Yeah, correct, yeah. Yeah, you can
This
just
is
go
gonna have to
on
be
that.
light, and it's gonna have to be directed on the lot, not on the neighbors' houses there.
Correct.
That how, because that was how that walkway got in. Whose house is that?
So,
Still? Yeah, so that's. And then you're gonna want to, and then you're gonna need building lights for the sidewalk too. Yeah, I agree. I mean, when it was the industrial there, like, so the garage, that parking, and the mess, it made, really didn't make much difference. But now, yeah, you have access and that. It's kind of better.
And I'm wondering what our liability would be if we approved it and then somebody got injured, they'd say, well, you approved it and I got injured because you approved that and it wasn't what you required in the ordinance.
that's a consideration.
That might come back and bite us in the backside.
Because
I think every effort should be made to make it as safe as possible for people that have to get from the back to the front. And like I say, you get someone like Fire or an attorney, they say, well, look at this, you got this here, you people approved this, now my client is injured, and the village is gonna be probably liable for that, and taxes are high enough already out here without having to.
We share all upstairs and then they go with the whole downstairs. Or too bad, or was it oh God, maybe it's been 10 years since the Nazarene went in, Church of the Nazarene went into the incubator there. That'd have been another perfect spot. Easy exit. That could be interesting.
Yeah, that'd be C2. And they do got quite a bit of parking. Okay. Do we want to have more discussion? Can we come up with what we're going to require?
Well, you're saying that this, getting the parking for now, this access, that's got, you say it's 4 feet and needs to be 5 feet?
Yeah, and you can't make it because they don't have the property.
So this is all this can be is 4 feet here.
Correct. But if they did an internal walkway and it passed the building inspector's thing, which I think they could do, then that would make that walkway
You mean
secondary.
where they entered through the rear of the
Yeah,
building?
correct, the original bird service.
So it takes square footage out of the back section of the building and requires some walls to be built. Walls and lighting, because you'd have to light the walkway.
So is this Mark's property all the way over here? Or just behind the building?
I mean, he sold the village lot that's next to API.
Pardon?
He told me that his family sold the village lot, was part of their property.
Yeah, it was part of our mail oil and gas
I
years
don't know
ago.
who that one is, though. I would assume it's still part of it.
No,
Because I remember when it came from Burns.
this drawing right here, that depicts their property.
It's
So
this
their
one.
property is not just the heavy line,
Right.
but it's this building also,
Yeah.
and this area over here.
Well, he should pay, but if he's gonna use that building, he's always gonna have these questions. It sounds like these questions came up before when it was a garage.
Even before that, because he paid for the front, too. The front
Yeah.
wasn't all the way paved.
Yeah.
Of course, this is a different question here. What happens if IGA opens?
What happens if IGA opens? Building's not in any fit state to be used right now. It's gonna take them a while to put it back together.
We were told, not the planning commission, but we were told on the council that liquor license,
I heard that
So-
too.
you know,
There's
that
no
was
secrets in this town.
purchased. Pardon?
There's no secrets in this town. I've heard that too. But yet the building still belongs to the Cordies. And although Laura
Yeah.
says it was well maintained and it's in great condition, my daughter used to work there and says there are places inside the building you can look right through the ceiling and see the sky. Now either Laura's lying or my daughter's lying, and I'd rather think that there's holes in the ceiling where you could look right through and see the sky.
Well, that's really not our
Yeah, that's
consideration.
really not here.
But your point is
Well,
still, is what
that's
happens
not,
when
but
Cordy's does open? Let's
It's
say.
gonna take a long time for them to reopen. That's rather like Subway. We saw it coming. There were signs in the window, Subway's coming. It took them a year. In the meantime, people in Armada have to eat.
Right, so what happens in a year?
If I'm leasing the building instead of buying the building, then in a year, if there is all of a sudden a wonderful Spartan store that's providing for the needs of the community, well, I can retire. But on the other hand, maybe it's not providing for the needs of the community. Gas station can't even stock enough milk, they keep running out. I was running out of milk. And I know we all love to fill up our gas tanks and run back and forth to Romeo and Richmond every time we have to buy something. At least we have that option, we have cars.
Ben, you had a point on the parking lot, so they're off by what, about 8 feet or so in depth? Even with the, even if they went to angle, I think they're showing, was it 55 foot?
Well,
50 foot?
it's
It's gonna get tough.
that,
Get around in there.
it's not up to the planning commission to devise the parking area. So it's up to the applicant to devise the parking area and just the planning commission to approve. So, I'm not sure which drawing we're supposed to use here, but, excuse me, the one drawing only shows 10 parking places, with possibly 2 in the front, so that's 12.
One of those is handicapped.
Yeah, but now you're gonna take 7 of those 12 with, and leaving the largest remainder of the building with only 4 or 5 parking places. So,
Ben, is
Before-
Mark's photo business still in there too?
well, and that's the other thing with, and thanks for bringing that up, because that building also takes up parking, and what parking does that building take up? Because it's in the shaded area, but it's not really drawn in here, nor does it stipulate
Yes.
what parking that building
He
utilizes.
has 2 front parking spaces in front of his door.
Yes, what?
One,
There's
see
only
2
one.
cars parked there. But I don't know that they have a rear entrance for the photography studio.
They do.
It used
I've never
to.
been to that
Yeah.
back part. It looked like it has a radiator shop sign on the back of the building in that section.
Photography studio.
No,
I mean,
that's on the
addition
south
to
side.
Next door to it.
So anyway.
Where is this studio?
So I'm gonna put everybody on the spot. So Mr. Shoemaker, what say you on concrete or pavement versus gravel?
For the parking in back,
Yes?
if you're gonna have that kind of pedestrian traffic, I'd say either concrete or asphalt, one of the two.
Mr. Sledge?
Same.
Mr. Conan?
I'd probably go with the gravel.
Okay. Ms. Patterson?
Concrete.
So vote aye, concrete or asphalt. Okay, so that's your hurdle. If you decide to do that, then it would also, you need to come up with lighting and stipulate truly mapped out parking, also with parking for all 3 sections. So the section that occupied presently, what parking they use and what parking, and then we'll have to figure out what their requirement is for their square footage, so
I was
that
about to
building,
ask that.
for that square footage of that building, we'll look at that one and see what's required for that building, and we can look and see what's required for your building and tell you what's left over. Well, we already know what's required of your building,
I
of
need
your
7
proposed
plus 1.
building, 7. So, and then you could look to see if it all works.
And we're gonna have to address the problem of that back access and walled off. That should be taken into consideration also. If she's gonna use the back door to come in.
Yeah.
Making that a walled off walkway there that would be ADA accessible.
Look, we just have to pass code.
That's just,
Yeah, it's gonna have to go to court.
I think if anybody here, I'd be more aware of ADA accessible than anybody. Considering I have a daughter with home and I.
I don't think we make a vote on this, we just gave you some food for thought, and
Yep.
you can come back.
see how the
we do want businesses to thrive in the town, but we also have to, the prime directive of planning is health, safety, and welfare. So it isn't really just making the building fit fit somebody's usage. So we want to foster good businesses and make it easy for them to come in and come through the planning process. But on the same token, we also have to keep the residents and the patrons safe.
My inventory's already left Armada.
Hmm?
My inventory's already left Armada. Some of it's in Lennox. I have property in Lennox. Some of it could easily go to my property in Algray. I choose Armada because I like Armada. Because I feel that Armada needs groceries.
We need it, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's gotta be the right fit though. Can't put a square peg in a round hole.
True.
But there are no square holes.
Then where you don't get it.
I will ask him what he's planning on doing with the parking lot.
Oh, this is okay.
Mhm.
Because he told me it needed work, but he didn't say what. I don't think the walkway would be a problem one way or the other.
You mean the internal walkway
Yes.
going through the service door? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I agree.
Joe could build anything I asked him to build. And the lighting for it, he's an electrician. I'm sure the lighting will be taken care of.
Okay, any other questions?
Parking lot needs to be paved. Gravel, not. Asphalt or concrete.
Correct.
I will talk to Mark, is his first name?
Yes.
Mr. Addo, yes. And then the parking lot also needs to be lit.
DTE light?
I know.
Excuse me?
Does it need to be one of those DTE lights?
I don't know what you said.
Or DTE? Try, oh,
Detroit Edison.
thank you.
No,
Okay.
no.
I got one of those in my driveway. They're not fun to pay for.
No, it can, no. Your lighting, that lighting, the parking lot lighting would be created by whoever. I guess you could hire DTE to put a pole in. I don't think that's probably the best way to go.
That's why I was asking. To make
Yeah,
sure
and
that's not what
I
you're
don't know.
asking.
It's really, that's kind of the architect, engineer, whoever. We just approve stuff. There's stipulations as far as how the lighting is supposed to
Not angled to
shine
disrupt the
on.
neighbors.
Yeah, shine on the neighbors. Although where you're at, the only place that you'd have a consideration there would really be
The
in
house
that
to the
back
south.
parking lot that's adjacent to the house or houses. I think it's 1.5 houses.
Are there any of the buildings up above the stores or apartments that would have lights? Would you see there?
Yeah, but lights don't usually shine that high up.
Okay.
So the traditional wall pack, which what they would do on their building, they're
Sheet
shaded
down.
on the top and
So
they're
sheet down.
so.
AT&T to the north, API behind them to the east,
Mhm.
and then parking lot next to that, and then Patrick?
Mhm. Yeah.
So that's what's behind him. Then to the south, that's his mother-in-law, I believe.
Yeah.
She's the one who came in and told me I should go there. She doesn't want my store closed.
See, and then you'd have to have the screening of the dumpster put back up.
Small fence,
Yeah.
no big deal. I would have done a lot quicker than saying.
So, and then the parking area, so the parking has to be created so that Your delivery trucks and the garbage guys all have access without moving cars from the parking lot. So the parking lot needs to be laid out in such a fashion that everything fits. Sometimes that doesn't mean that you use the maximum amount of parking area that you could, because you need the maneuvering room for some of the bigger trucks.
So not only paved with asphalt or concrete, but then also divided as to what part goes to which part of the building.
Correct.
Because there's at least 3 units in that building, perhaps 4.
Well, yes, and if you kind of look at the required parking thing, so if we give you all the parking and the other tenant has the parking, and now they go to rent the third section of the building, and there's no parking, so then what do you do? So you really kind of, in a multiple tenant facility like this, you have to kind of make sure that everything's gonna fit, and the landowner knows that this is all the parking he's got, no matter what goes in there. This is, he
So
only has
basically,
X
it was a
amount of parking
mistake on their
places for that.
part to sell that parking lot to the village. They should have held on to it.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah, but nonetheless, how many, who else so right now is using that municipal lot for, to get their parking numbers? Is anybody?
Excuse me?
Is anyone using that
API?
lot to get their parking numbers up?
You mean utilize that lot for required
Municipal,
parking?
yep.
Yes, one industrial user. And they're using three places.
Not really.
Using 3 required places.
They're assigned to them. Whether they're actually being used is.
So, and then the other municipal lot, on the northwest corner, that lot was donated to the village by the bank, and the bank has permanent parking places marked with signage for their employees. And that was part of the agreement.
What's our distance to a municipal? You have to be with 500 feet or something like that?
No,
Just to
they
have
don't,
a
there's no,
distance marker between
there's
the
no,
municipal and I thought.
there's no requirement that you have to be within that far of a municipal lot. You have to be within 500 feet of, if you're sharing parking with somebody, so, and we've done that before. One
Yeah.
building didn't have enough, so they took some parking from somebody else. They have to be within 500 feet.
Maybe that's what
Yeah, I think that's what you're thinking. So any other discussion? Any other questions?
Like I think
Right
the
now?
question I needed.
So you want a list in writing?
Probably be best.
Excuse me?
I said that would probably be best.
Yeah. Okay,
So we're just putting this on hold for right now.
correct, yeah.
Getting more information.
So we would also like to see a grocery store. So we'd like to see a safe grocery store. Okay,
Good luck with whatever goes into that corner.
what's that?
Good luck with whatever goes into that corner. Where I was, that former location. The water doesn't run there in the building in the wintertime. Just so you know.
Well, that's one of the reasons why we have required, every time a new business moves into a building, it's required that they come into planning and they state their business, and then we check to make sure that they're zoned properly and all the Ts are crossed and the Is are dotted. And another big reason is so the building inspector can do a run through the building. So, and then the
And
final
fire
approval is.
inspector if necessary.
Yeah.
Oh, I had the fire inspector, no problem.
So then things can be brought up to code, because that's the final thing, is the building inspector and the fire inspector to sign off. It's really, once you pass planning, you still have to get the inspections done. Hey, thanks for the fee schedule.
Well, she gave it to me.
Yeah, I know.
Parking area needs to be asphalt or concrete, parking area needs to be lit.
Yep.
Good mapped out parking, including current use in the designated spots.
Yep.
Dumpster screening, access area to store. If through back, needs walls to create hallway to store, needs building department approval.
Yep.
Anything else?
I'll make a Xerox of that, and we'll give a copy to Ben.
And I might need a
Yeah.
fee schedule, so I know there's gonna be a permit probably for the walkway, and how much is that gonna cost, so.
Well, would be a building inspector thing, so.
Okay, so it's not on your fee schedule, it's a different fee schedule.
Differently. Oh, yeah, you have to pull a building permit for that. I'm not sure if there's a permit for putting in a parking lot either. There might be. That I don't know, you'd have to check with the building inspector.
So who's the building secretary?
Dennis will be.
Then it's just the inspector, the secretary too?
Oh, no, I thought, I'm sorry.
Oh, I thought
He's
you
a
asked who the building inspector was.
What did you ask?
I said, who's the building secretary?
Oh.
Do they have you?
Becky.
Yeah.
So I get to
Becky's pretty much it.
She's the
She's our gal Friday.
The Jill of all trades.
That's it.
Yeah.
She's gonna start
Okay.
running when she sees me coming.
Thanks very much, and we hope to see you again.
Yes.
So I can just go then?
Yeah. We're done.
Enjoy the rest of your meeting.
Okay, great. Okay, so the next item on our agenda is future planning commission business. So one of the things that we've been entrusted with, we already have an action that we have to take tonight, and that is assigning addresses. Detroit Edison no longer does that, and the village council has given it to us. So, I think we need to kind of do some research to have this. So my suggestion was to get from an Edison planner kind of a map of what they've got for the village currently, and then go off of that map. So, but we do need to assign an address tonight. And this is for, excuse me, the Armada healthcare thing that we passed, so the nursing home, you know.
7.
So do they have 3 addresses?
Yes,
4.
So they have 3, but they're looking for the 4.
they need
So-
it for their license.
Yeah. So the first address they have is the 22600. The next address is the 22590 and a 22580. The building that they're requesting is between the 590 and the 580, and they'd like an address of 22570, which makes sense.
Between
Or
80
5700,
and 90?
or 570, I'm sorry, 22570.
But it's between 80 and 90.
Correct, between 22590 and 22.
So like
Okay, so it must not be between, it must be
It must be
after.
before.
Yeah, it must be.
If it's
okay.
before it,
I'm
then I
sorry.
can see the
Yeah.
70.
Otherwise,
So
that
not
would be
between.
585.
Right,
Right,
that's what I was
yeah,
gonna
yeah,
say.
yeah. I misspoke, I'm sorry. So it's.
As long as
it's-
570
So
isn't being
it's
used.
22,600, 22,590, 22,580, and the next one is 22,570. And that's what they're requesting, 22,570. So it's the last of the 4 buildings.
Just keeping a pattern of hands, so.
Sure.
It's not, yeah.
We need a motion on
Yes, we do.
So, motion to approve the address. that's
The address of 22,570 to the,
Healthcare, Armada Healthcare.
yep, yeah,
So moved.
That's the official
Okay.
name, Armada Health.
yeah. Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Discussion, so moved. Okay, so, in preparing for tonight's grocery store thing, I was looking in definitions. No, we talked about what we want to do with updating some of the inconsistencies of the zoning ordinance, which we kind of thought we did before. We still have more to do. So, in the, on page 25, 23, the last thing is pavement or hard surface. So this would be for parking area. Plant mix. Okay, how do you know?
Sure.
Bituminous?
I can tell Dave.
Bituminous?
Bituminous material.
Yep.
So isn't that plant?
No, it means something to do with coal,
Bitumen is a coal.
coal derivative.
Well, it says plant mixed.
Yeah, next in the plant. you know,
No,
like-
mixed plant mix.
Like
Okay.
a
Okay.
asphalt plant.
Okay, so actually, okay, so that's asphalt.
Yeah,
Okay, so, but we asked that it would, you could put, so that would be under paving, but, okay, so I'm an idiot.
It's on camera.
What's that?
It's on camera.
Yeah, thanks. I take that back. Okay, so at least we're looking. Okay, so then the next one was the executive approval. So I actually got called out on that. Remember we did the executive approval and we put it and we stipulated it and we passed it and it didn't get it put in the ordinance book as we stipulated. The executive approval, according to the ordinance book, says that the building inspector does it, not the planning commission chair. So why would the building inspector approve a planning commission issue? So I actually got kind of called out on the carpet for approving something I had no authority to approve, but we did approve the approval. So, but it didn't make it to print. So that's one of the things we need to do. We need to clarify, we need to go back to the,
That was not, that was in, what was it, the site plan or administrative plan review or something like that?
yeah, it was,
Administrative review.
yes, administrative review, yeah. And then,
Just what, 18 years?
so all I'm doing is kind of going over some of the things, we'll address them when we kind of get a list. So the signs, there was some incongruency or inconsistency. I don't remember what the sign thing was. Do you remember, Paul or Chris?
It's been a long time.
So we should kind of make a note of all these things and then note just exactly what they are. The other thing is section 6.1 or 6.103. So what's that?
That allows you to have a kennel in a residential area. Will Smith brought up when we got this.
Yeah.
So this is, the 6.103 is kennels and animal shelters. But it states that the first thing, A, minimum lot size is 1 acre. So, we can look at this. The other thing was the animals, the keeping of animals, which in our ordinance stipulates that you can have certain farm animals as long as you have an acre. So anything under an acre, you're not allowed to do those things. So isn't it under, by the attorney's request, that we look at those things and either leave it as it is, or maybe take it out altogether and not allow them?
Well, is there anything in the code of ordinances?
They finally made the code of ordinance match the zoning ordinance with regards to those particular farm animals.
Okay.
But that was all based on the Right to Farm Act,
Mm-hmm.
and some of those things have changed. The GAMPs, GAAMPS, have changed, have proposed changes to them that would not require you to allow them in a residential district. So you don't have to, if your ordinance specifically states that they're not allowed, you would still be in compliance.
And I don't think I would let the acre thing be the crutch of a decision. I would move away from that, because you have like over by Paul, those huge deep lots. Say somebody bought Mark's lot and one of the adjacent properties, you might wind up with an acre.
But there are more guidelines than that. I just read that one. So the next one is setbacks. So they have to be at least 50 foot from dwellings on adjacent lots. So that means you have to have 50 foot on both sides of the building. So that means you have to have a lot that's 100 foot wide before you can put a building on it.
Right.
So there's not too many lots that would be 140 or 150 feet wide that are an acre in size. But so, I mean, it's just, we're asked to look at it. So the acre thing, so no, you couldn't have a pencil. So you couldn't have 50 foot really long. It still wouldn't work. Even if you had the acre, you wouldn't, you only pass one of the two guidelines.
If you got two of the lots, you'd have 140 feet.
What's that?
If you got two of the lots, you'd have 140 feet
Well, at least, yeah.
Sure.
by the long depths.
Mhm.
So I would be real careful on the one
Yeah,
acre thing.
I see. We're talking, I mean, this is,
It was something you guys had brought up, Dale had brought up back when we were talking the other animal ordinance. It was in my notes, and that, I wasn't here when you guys did the 2013 review and what to do in 2014. It was on my list, because Dale had said he wouldn't be real crazy about having a kennel in.
yeah, but what's,
Near-
okay, so I have to ask them, what's our definition of a kennel?
Okay, so then
Doghouse?
that's
Yeah.
moving over to the next
Something
page.
about breeding or something.
Yeah, commercial kennels.
Because I saw that one too, I read the commercial part, and I'm like, okay, I'm missing.
You have the
then-
definition in the back of the book for kennel?
See if it's like 25.
Oh, okay, no, wait a minute. Structures in which animals are kept, animal runs, exercise areas shall not be located in any required yard setback area and shall be set back at least 500 feet from any residential use, district, or use. So-
You'd have to have several lots.
Yeah, so I mean, you just kind of, you went from, you know, possible to almost impossible. So I guess you're gonna have an impossible, you might as well not allow it at all.
Right.
Ben, what did you say again?
When-
Any building, lot, or permit where 4 or more dogs or cats, at least 8 weeks
Yeah.
of age, are kept.
Right.
This shall not include residentially zoned premises or premises which are used for other use.
Now you see that just said.
Okay, kennel.
Residential.
Any building or lot, oh, okay, you just read that.
This shall not include residentially zoned premises or premises which are used for residential purposes at which the occupant is keeping his or her own dogs or cats.
Oh,
Or any building.
so that just would mean,
But we don't allow for it.
right, what do you allow for? That's
We
what
do
you-
allow for it.
That's what you allow for.
We just
Yeah,
changed that, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, did we just change, yeah, the
Yeah,
number
we did.
quantity just changed, that was one, that's where we match now.
Yeah. Wow.
But this says this shall not include
That's if you
residentially
keep
zoned
it-
premises.
You're still stuck to
Well,
the
you
number.
keep your
right?
own
Correct.
pet.
Right.
You keep your own pet, yeah. Well, that's what I was asking, is this for someone who's trying to keep other people's pets? Is it, or a business?
It speaks about that in the next line, it says something about remuneration, what page is that?
That's the same one we had the definition, yeah, if you're in a business of boarding, you're in.
Any building or premises where dogs or cats are kept or housed for which remuneration is received.
Right, so, it doesn't include those either.
So that means the dog grooming place would not be allowed today.
I thought that said excludes. This shall not include, okay, any other building, this shall not include.
Well, because she's within so many feet of
Or
residential.
building lot,
She's got a kennel too.
yeah,
But you got less than 500 feet between that building and that house next to it.
Mhm.
Correct. But she's gonna quit pretty soon.
I hope not.
If she had her way, she'd be done already.
Well, she's not taking any new people.
Well, she's just doing it herself.
Yeah. She does a good job, she's very reasonable.
Yeah, Sandra's a good gal. So anyway, okay. So then the other thing is special approval land use. That's kind of come to the forefront as of late. We were always under the impression that special approval land use only went with the applicant, and then we found out later that it is transferable. We've also found out that we can make it so that it doesn't transfer. So all we have to do is write it into our ordinance.
wow.
So
How
I
did we
would,
find that out?
from Amy,
Because didn't she, wasn't that what we found that, okay, I thought it was the other way around.
no, we were always told, I was always told that special approval land use was not transferable.
Right.
So when we did special approval land uses, we told the applicants that it wasn't transferable. We didn't write that down. Had we wrote it down as a stipulation, it would hold.
Yeah.
But we didn't write it down because we didn't think it was transferable, nor did we kind of pay special attention to the stipulations because we didn't think they were transferable. So in some of the previous land use, special approval land uses. So we either have to really watch what we do with special approval land uses, or in my opinion, I'd like to make it so they are not transferable. So would that be up to the board to come up with this?
Feedback on that? I'm assuming this came up because
We found that there,
This hasn't been a problem since, except for just one case recently. So, I don't know that council has a lot of input here, because we haven't had a problem with this.
but again, with council doesn't really grant special approval, planning does.
Right.
And as far as the planning commission process, we have to be a lot more diligent and we have to be a lot more careful in granting special approvals if it's transferable. If we make it so it's not transferable, not that we can be more lax, but we don't have to think so far ahead.
Well, I think every one of our businesses are so different, and our special approval land uses have been so limited that each one should be standing on its own merit.
I
Just
totally agree.
because that special approval land use worked for that building and now I'm coming in with a different one, that doesn't mean it's gonna fit. They should
But-
all stand on their own merit.
But now that's not how it is, it's just,
Right. So I think we should take measures to make sure that
and all we have to do is write it
they
into our.
that we don't make the same mistake.
Correct, but all we have to do is write it into our ordinance, so my suggestion is when we do these ordinance changes, we also do that. Okay. So, chair report. Everybody got a letter from a concerned citizen, just for your FYI. And I really don't have anything in a chair report other than that.
Well, on that, this concerned citizen, did, when they split that business, you know, into the gun shop, because, is that a C1 where it didn't affect it?
No, C2.
They got plenty of parking.
Is there also have plenty of parking because they can use the IGA lot, is that
No.
why?
No.
Just in front, they have enough?
They have very little square footage. So everything goes by square footage, just as you saw tonight. So the dog grooming place was where it was there. The dog grooming place had two employees, and it had customer parking. So now he limited the dog grooming place. The dog grooming place gave up surface area to the gun shop. So the dog grooming place no longer has two employees, only has one. Only has stations for one person to work. So they can't have the customers that they used to have. So the gun place was able to take up the parking vacated by the dog grooming place.
Who was the, what business got turned down in there then from out that parking?
Years ago, somebody went in there and they wanted to have, the only one that I can remember that got turned down for parking was somebody wanted to put a gym in there. So the gym is high traffic.
You know, what's sad is, we can't answer this because the person
That's
won't sign
anonymous.
their name.
True. Oh, we know who wrote it.
I hate these kind of letters.
Yes.
Okay.
No, but that's why that, I wasn't gonna bring it up, but that's why that happened like it did, because you had one business that had X amount of parking places, decreased the size, had half of X that it needed for its parking places, and gave the other half of X to the second business. So it wasn't like you created two businesses using, the second business didn't use more parking, it just used parking that the first business
This
vacated.
question comes, now I can answer it,
Sure.
so I appreciate you,
Yeah,
Total parking just did not change,
correct.
mainly because of the square footage of the building.
because they just divided up the same
Right.
building into
Right.
small subdivided.
The only thing they didn't do is they were supposed to utilize a section in the back of the building for parking, and they didn't do that.
Okay.
So other than that, anything else? Yeah, how's the parking thing coming?
I just thought, I've got about halfway through that list.
Okay.
It's sitting at my office table,
Well,
and I did a lot of traveling this past month, so
I,
I thought about it, I'm like, where did a month, or actually, where did 2 months go now? So,
I had the list longer than you, and that's, so, no apology necessary. We'll get through it.
you spend more time looking at going, who the heck is that? Where's that one at? I'm like, you know what, I keep on wanting to come in here and go look at the map, because then it's easy. Where's this that one, you know?
Okay, so it's 5 to 9. Anybody want to entertain a motion to adjourn?
Sure. Motion to adjourn.
Okay, second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Nobody wants to stay, huh?
You kid, we already went way too late in this meeting.
Meeting adjourned.
Meeting in
Chat,
chat.
meeting adjourned.